On this show, we cover some sensitive topics.
Though the obituaries may be outlandish, the people are real.
Names have been changed or omitted in order to respect both the deceased and the survived by.
While death is no laughing matter, some petty last words can provide some pretty entertaining comic relief.
Welcome to Obituary. Welcome back to Obituary. I'm Spencer Henry.
And I'm Madison Reyes.
And this is Obituary.
The place where you can come and chill and learn about decomposition.
That's what they say. Come and chill.
Come
and chill.
Yeah, we're not drinking any formaldehyde here.
No, honey, we're perfectly preserved with nature's natural resources, like such as Botox.
Juvederm.
What else? Restylane.
Little tiny needles. Threads.
Just pulled back to the gods, honey. Because what's it going to take, you guys? Here's the thing. I believe this with my whole heart. I think 2026 is the year that Obituary takes over. I do. I think this is going to be the year we are going to be, mark my words, end of 2026, we're a top 10 podcast. I feel like this is our year of discovery.
I
still think Obituary is one of the most slept on podcasts.
I hate to say that because we do have so much love and so many great listeners. But I mean, call her Obituary. Why can't we do that? You know, why can't we have that? Or Obitchless.
The Obituary experience. Yep. That's right. We're coming for you too. We're coming for everyone this year.
We're coming.
Dethroning.
Obituousness.
Yeah. What are other podcasts? What are the top ones? I don't know. My favorite Obituary.
Yes.
Just coming for everyone. Maybe that's what we need to do. No, but I was like, thinking about it the other day because I love Obituary so much.
So do I. I know. I love her.
And I do feel like while she's made strides, okay, she's done a lot for us. I still feel like
she's just getting
I don't know
started.
If she's had her moment yet.
I know.
I feel it in the air. It's coming.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh, Spence.
Yeah.
I booked your psychic that you have talked so highly about.
How dare you try and steal my psychic medium from me?
You know, I did. I really did.
Okay, I love that.
I'm so excited. I'm so ready. I think I've been to psychics a ton.
Yeah.
And have had my cards read. I've had, fucking everything read. But I feel like the way that you have talked about him and the way that how correct he was about everything and the names that he'd bring up and everything, I think I was like, okay, I need to make sure I'm in the place that I want to be in to receive what he will give me. Like, I'm like, this is the real deal, so I don't want to fuck this up in any way.
His name, by the way, is Felix Lee Lerma, because I know you guys are going to ask.
Yes. I'm so excited. It's not for, he has a wait list, so won't be for a little while, but I will absolutely report back.
Please do. And I think after, we need to have him on the pod.
Show. I would love that.
That'd be great.
I know.
I'm coming off of like a solo bachelor week over here. Because the champ left while we were during the storm. Abandoned us, actually, I'll say. No, just
abandoned his family.
But he had to go to LA for work. And so I was alone all week and weekend. And I was living just this bachelor dad life where I was eating disgusting food. I was blasting a lot of 90s country and dad rock playlists from Spotify.
Uh-huh.
Smoking cigarettes in the backyard with the dogs.
Making TikToks of you gyrating?
Yeah. Gyrating TikToks in my closet. I was just really having the time of my life. So glad he's back.
Sleeping on a mattress in the living room?
In the living room. Yeah, because, okay,
Fun.
so I don't know if we talked about that last week, but like during the storm, we had moved one of the mattresses from one of the guest rooms downstairs in front of the fireplace because it was so fucking cold in our house. So the whole time he was gone, the mattress was down there. So it was just like me and the dogs just having a big slumber party all week. It was so fun.
So fun. I know. I wish I was there.
Stayed up late. It felt like you were here. We were on the phone the whole time. We stayed up late, slept in. I felt like a kid.
Ah, I love that.
But now he's back home and it's law and order, which is great, actually, because I need that. But it was fun for a weekend.
A little structure.
Yeah. Oh, I need a lot of structure, actually. I think you and I are both better when we're on routine, which also came up this week for you, if you don't mind me divulging. But like, you had called me the other day and you're like, I'm just fucking in my head. I'm like doom scrolling. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm like, girl, go to the fucking gym. You need to go to the gym. You need to give yourself some sort of routine.
Yeah, I took the holidays off, and Spencer, I am walking so crazy right now. I worked out Monday, Tuesday. I'm supposed to work out today. It's not going to happen.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. But I hadn't worked out, and I was like, oh, it can't be that big of a deal that I missed, 6 weeks, right? Yeah, it's a big deal. I fucking can't sit down on the toilet. I can't. It's so, I have to pee standing up. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but it's just like more of like I'm not like, oh, go to the gym, girl. But like, it's more like I know for me, when I'm off my routine is usually when I'm at my worst and I'm like spiraling or anxious. It's when I don't have enough going on. I was talking to you about this because I think especially working from home, there's like this isolation factor that hits a lot. And I know for me, especially since moving here, it's like I don't have the same social life that I had in Southern California. So I know the gym for me is where most of my socialization is happening right now.
You're like the weirdo. Like, hi, everybody.
No, because one of the gyms that I go to, it's like a noon class and we're all kind of in the same boat of like every single person there works from home. And so I think for a lot of us, it's like, this is our hangout time. Because people will be like, oh, do you want to get lunch? You want to do this? So it's, yeah.
There's a girl at the gym that I do want to talk to because she's always there in a coroner's sweatshirt. And I remember when I signed up, one of the people were like, oh yeah, we have they were asking what I did. I told them and they're like, we have a coroner that always comes here. So I would love
to.
I know. I just need to build up the courage.
Just do it. It's always fun because
what do I say?
I would say, hey, I hear you're a coroner. And then just tell her about Obituary.
Say, I'm a New York Times bestseller, darling.
No, don't do that. You'll be like that new Real Housewife.
Fucking hate her. She's so annoying.
So obnoxious.
God.
The type of person that we don't like, which is someone that comes in and is just bragging about their fucking achievements left and right.
About their money, too.
I'm like, I don't care.
I don't care how much you make.
Are you fun?
Yeah. Are you nice?
Yeah. Are you fun and you're nice? That's all I need in my life.
Truly.
Please.
Well, yeah. So I went back to the gym because I called you. I was like just starting to feel like it was like the craziness of the holidays finally really died down and we didn't have a ton to work on. It was just kind of a normal week, which I was praying for during the craziness. And then it happens and I feel like I'm going to lose it. And all my OCD symptoms are heightened. And you know what? I understand why some people just, consider faking their death because
Oh.
You just want to get away. I'm serious. And I have an article that has some really good tips and tricks for faking
trips, ticks, and trips.
Yep.
Twips.
Yes. And this is from clickhole.com.
Hey,
Mm-hmm. So this is kind of cool because it's like you fake your death, but you can still attend your funeral.
Mm.
And it's a real article, and it says 7 things you have to do when attending your own funeral in disguise.
Remember Jihatsu?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's what it makes me think of.
This says a chance to attend your own funeral in disguise only comes along every so often. Here are some things you have to do in order to make the most of this special occasion. Number 1, wear a brimmed hat that slightly obscures your face.
Okay, what are we talking? Are we talking fedora? Are we talking Orange County mom? Are we talking...
This one shows like a cowboy hat.
Oh.
Cool.
Just dip down. Mm-hmm. Okay, got it.
Number 2, remain inconspicuous by standing toward the back of the group of mourners.
Yes.
Smart. This one's a little dicey. Number 3, offer your condolences to your mother, introducing yourself as a friend of her son's.
Well, bad news for me.
When she asks if you and her son were close, say, yeah, you could say that.
Ooh.
Number 4, and don't forget this, throw some dirt in your grave. Number 5, and I like this one, walk behind the woman you love and secretly place your necklace in her coat pocket. Number 6, later, when the service is over and she discovers the necklace as she is getting into her car, make sure you're standing by the tombstone, far enough away that it is impossible for her to see your face, but just close enough for her to wonder for just one moment if it might be. And number 7, leave it all behind and begin anew.
Ooh. New life.
A new life.
Oh, we talk about that all the time. We're like, if anything happens to our men, we are starting over in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to be sitting in a house.
The plastic surgeon is already on retainer, honey.
Just ripping darts. We're going to have a golf cart that we can just drive around and wreak havoc all over.
We're going to look like leather.
Oh.
And it's going to be so good.
We're pouring baby oil on ourselves.
Holding foil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While we're in the golf cart.
No, we'll hire a butler.
Oh. We've got funds. This is after Obituary becomes one of the top podcasts in the world.
And if not, we're robbing a bank.
Okay, I'll do either, honestly.
A hot one who just waits on us hand and foot. I'm going to be drunk 24/7.
Oh my God, me too. At that point, no, bets are off, baby.
At that point, fuck. You know that I saw something about the man that started AA, and
Bill W.
I was talking to you like what a great organization AA is. But I don't know if this is true or not, and I kind of hate it because
You can ask. I'll know probably.
Okay, well, on his deathbed, he asked for a drink, and they refused to give him one.
Supposedly that is true, yeah.
Oh, shit.
But then also there's so much wild shit. Like they were on LSD and stuff. So, I mean,
They were?
Yeah. So it was like a very different organization at its inception than it later became. I think I will never talk disparagingly about the program or like the 12-step program, but I think everyone's journey is so personal. And I think when it comes to sobriety, I do not believe there is like a one size fits all solution, which I think most people in the program would agree with as well.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's fucking wild. It was also a very different, different decade, different time, different era. Sometimes people say era and I kind of like it.
Era, yeah.
Yeah, it was a different era.
Like when I said biopic.
Instead of biopic?
Honey, the new biopic?
Well, some people I think do say biopic.
I know.
And it's obnoxious.
I walked into our bedroom the other day and Cisco was watching a documentary and I was like, what are you watching? He's like, I don't know, Hildebrandt. And I'm like, what? And it was that new Netflix thing for that Hildebrandt lady, the Ruby Frankie lady.
Oh, Hildebrandt. Jody Hildebrandt, yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, what are you doing watching this? He's like, Hildebrandt. I don't know.
True crime girly.
I guess so.
He is, because he stays sending me YouTube videos.
That's true. I'm like,
he sends me a lot of YouTube videos.
He's done that one. He's done that one.
But never mind. Oh my God, I'm like his other halves. So he just hears me all the time anyway.
I know. And he treats you
like an asshole is how he treats me. And speaking of,
Glock it.
I've got some. This first one says, am I the asshole for asking my parents not to leave me any money in their will? Yep. And you're also a dumbass. Okay.
You're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot, but okay.
What do you mean?
Unless you make so much money and this is going to hurt your taxes or something.
Listen to this. They say, my parents are only in their late 60s. Hopefully they have many, many years left. Last year, they called my siblings and I to talk about their will. They want to spread everything evenly. I don't think this is fair. Firstly, they are still active and alive. They need to take care of themselves first. Secondly, I don't need their money. I'm a pipeline welder. I have more money than I will ever need. Not bragging. Have worked hard for every cent. If you think it's easy, why doesn't everyone do it? Okay, defensive a little bit. I don't think it's easy at all. As somebody who's welded, I'm going to say I think it's...
Oh, he took a class.
I'm going to chime in. I think it's difficult. I think it's very difficult. Okay, he said, thirdly...
One class.
Girl, you have no class. How about that? Before you speak on me. Thirdly, my brother and sister are greedy assholes. Let them have whatever is left after our parents are done with it. I said that nicer, though. I said I want some sentimental stuff they have, my grandpa's rodeo buckles and Stetson, my mom's recipe book, a copy of the family photo albums, even just scans are fine, that sort of stuff. I will come clean here and say the buckles are silver and gold. They are also collector's items, but I want to display them, not sell them. My brother and sister think I'm playing some sort of reverse psychology game on my parents. My parents seemed offended that I don't want their money. I'm lost. I thought being honest was a good thing.
Okay. There's a part of me that's attracted to him.
Yep.
Because I'm like, yes, daddy, like, get it. He's a man. He's like,
yeah, he's a man.
But there is also a part of me that's like, you never know what's going to happen. And if Cisco was getting a big inheritance and said, no, you can, I'd say, what? No, what? Like for a rainy day, I don't know. But there is also something I think a lot of parents do if they are fortunate enough to give an inheritance. Like, I do think it's a way of showing love. I hate that it has to be money to show love, but that's the truth. Like, I think some parents are like, no, I've worked hard to give you this. It's a gift. Please take it. Like, so I could see where his parents are kind of like, no, we want to give you this.
I don't think he's an asshole. I think there is something admirable about being like, I have, like, that's a man being like, I have more than I need. I'm fine. Like, you can go be greedy assholes about it. I'm just gonna fucking ask for this and good luck to you.
But it is also like just starting shit before the shit even needs to start. Like,
yeah,
it's like, okay, maybe get that inheritance and do something.
She's saying, don't let it go.
Send it to me. I need it.
Maybe take it. Send it to P.O. Box
18149 that we don't have.
Oh my God, we need to get a P.O. Box again.
I know.
Well, I don't know how we do that now.
Send it to me.
No.
I'll take care of it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not the asshole in my opinion.
No, but maybe stupid.
Oh, shit.
It's the real world. Come on. You never know when the economy is going to collapse and you're
He
not
doesn't
going to be
need
able
it.
to. Well,
Moving on. The next Am I the Asshole says, am I the asshole for cutting off my mom after my stepdad's funeral? So for some backstory, my 26-year-old female, only child, stepdad, took on that role when I was 8 years old. We never got along. I always stood up for myself, and he was never used to being challenged. He took over a lot of disciplinary aspects of my childhood, authoritarian parenting with aspects of abuse and anger issues on his part, and never participated in any of the good parts. Into my childhood, I learned to forgive him for a lot of things and coexist, but not be close with him. 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and unfortunately passed away 10 months after his diagnosis. A few days before his passing, when he was on hospice, I texted him that I love him and that I know we had our differences, but this is more important than that. He responded and said, remember, your mother is the most important thing in your life, and copied and pasted some song lyrics. I currently live an 8-hour drive away from them, and when I got the text from my mom, yes, a text, not a phone call, I was unable to leave work and fly to them the same day, especially for someone who would not do that for me. My mother had posted his death announcement on Facebook and his service information without tagging or mentioning me at all the same day he died. His funeral was 2 to 3 weeks after his passing, and mine and my partner's evening flight was canceled, so I drove 8 hours through thunderstorm warnings in the middle of the night so that I would be there at the funeral the next morning at 9 a.m. Here's where the bullshit starts. My mother has always been the center of attention, posting personal info on Facebook for clout or sympathy. I don't know. Which, pause, that would be so hard to have a parent who is like that.
I know. Oh my God.
Like, imagine just being like, Mom, get the fuck off Facebook. What are you doing?
I know. I have a couple of friends who have parents who are older and innocently post stuff that I'm like, hey, just so you know, so-and-so posted this. Like, but I can't imagine it being like intentional.
Or like begging for sympathy. No.
God.
Goes on to say, I attended the funeral, happy to see everyone come together, even if we didn't get along. I was seated in the back, which I thought was weird given that I was the only child. My mother had several of her friends filming the funeral for Facebook, which I think is insane, but maybe she wants the memory saved. And then the speeches start. My mother had scripts for 3 people to read out for her so that she didn't have to go up to speak. I was left out of the first speech entirely until the guy speaking felt bad and added me at the end saying he thought of her as his only daughter, when I was in fact his only daughter for 18 years, which was not mentioned in the second speech. I was not mentioned in the second speech. The third speech was a detailed recounting of his death while in hospice. Throughout these speeches, my mother was mentioned extensively and how good of a wife she was to him and how much he loved her. And I was mentioned at the end saying he was so patient with her.
Oh, that is a read.
After the funeral, we went to my family home to share stories and watch slideshows of his life. One of the slideshows had the song he copied and pasted the lyrics from, which I thought was odd. My mom kept calling me out in front of everyone saying, don't you want to speak or why are you hiding? But I honestly felt like it was her trying to make me look bad knowing we had a rough relationship because of his abuse. I then overhear her telling someone else that she's been the one responding to his texts for the last few weeks of his life since he was apparently sedated.
Oh!
I went upstairs to use the bathroom and saw their room was set up like a fucking Goodwill, his clothes and sentimental items laid out for people to take while they were here, 2 weeks after his death. I was trying to leave with my partner, who was incredibly supportive throughout the whole thing, when my mom pulled me aside to try to give me some of his things. I told her I wasn't in a good headspace for that, to which she turned to my partner and tried to pawn them off on him, or on them. He refused and said, I would listen to what she wants. We left. I haven't spoken to my mom since, other than to tell her how disappointing the whole event was. All she said was she wished she had more support from me throughout this, and I'm being selfish. She lives in the same town as the rest of my family. She's had plenty of support, posting about it online, etc. My grandparents think I'm overreacting and have to keep in touch because that's my mother and she deserves access to me. She's done a lot over the years that hasn't sat right with me, but I can't help but feel that this was the hill I'm willing to die on. I feel bad she's alone now without him, but I can't keep moving the boundary line for her. Am I the asshole for not wanting to participate in his funeral / cater to my mom's narcissistic ways?
No. I think it sucks, but moms can be narcissists.
Moms can be narcissists. It doesn't sound like she handled things right by any means whatsoever.
Crazy.
Kind of crazy.
To find out about the texting situation, wild. The fact that the mom texted her that.
The lyrics too, making it seem, oh my God, yeah. And the fact that she said in it, like, I didn't even think of that. That didn't clock to me. I don't know why. But the fact that she said, take care of your mother, the most important person in your life. And it was her writing it.
That's all it said back with lyrics.
Crazy.
Crazy. Wild.
Love her. Love the mom.
Low-key love her. She doesn't waste any time. Has the goodwill going.
You're all going to read a speech. And they're all about how good I was.
Well, okay, when you said that, I was like, well, because the person said like, oh, she always wants to be the center of attention. But then when she didn't want to go up and speak, it's like, oh, well, does she want to be the center of attention? But no, it's a diabolical way to be the center of attention. She's the grieving widow, and everybody has to write some kiss-ass thing about her.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, take it with a grain of salt, too, because there are two sides to every story, like we say. I do wonder. Giving a speech is hard, too. When it was my mom's funeral, oh, my God. Me and my sister both wrote speeches, and we both went up together, but it was like the most blackout experience.
Totally. I'm sure the whole day was.
Oh, yeah.
Or that whole period of time, honestly.
There was humorous moment, like that lady with the rock that I wrote about in the book.
True.
But anyway, so not the asshole, because I'm also so pro, like, fucking, if you don't want to talk to someone, you don't have to talk to someone. It doesn't matter who they are.
I know. The only thing is I wish that these things weren't anonymous. I want, like, a name to the face. I want
pictures.
Yeah. You can tell a lot from a person's picture, too. I can see a picture of someone, and it's just the vibe. I'm like, I know if I'm going to like you or not. I don't know.
Wow. Talk about judging a book by its cover, Madison. How dare you?
Well, you know what I mean. Sometimes you see someone and you're like.
Listen, what we're trying to say is don't misconstrue this. If you're beautiful in your picture, we
love
believe
you, honey.
We love you, and we're on your side.
God, it's true.
Oh, God. All right. Well, now we sound like a bunch of assholes, Madison.
Yes, we do.
Okay. I am up first this week, which means that you should have a side bitch for us, Madison.
I sure do. And you know what? We talked about how we want to die together.
Yes. We literally talked about that yesterday.
I know. So I found a little obituary. This is husband and wife, but, you know.
What does it mean anymore, you know?
Honey, who cares? Honey, whatever. This is from the Florala News, December 20th, 1928. Live together 67 years, die together. December 13th, the death angel visited the home of Mr. Billy Elmore Sunday morning and Sunday night, claiming as its own the husband and father at 5:30 a.m. and the wife and mother at 7:30 p.m.
Oh.
Mr. Elmore was 87 years old and his wife 83. They had lived together 67 years. They were laid to rest in the same casket. Mr. and Mrs. Elmore have only lived in Noma 12 months, and they were loved by all that knew them. They were members of the Free Will Baptist Church. Their remains were laid to rest in the cemetery at Bala Church in Jackson County. Reverend Eldridge conducted the funeral services.
Oh.
Died the same day together and in the same casket.
What more could you
ask for?
Let that be us.
Ooh, love it.
Love. All right, well, we're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you what had me spinning in my coffin this week.
I can't wait. Switched it up.
All righty, we'll be right back.
And we're back. Spencer, what had you spinning in your coffin this week?
Well, girly Jeffs, this week I was spinning in my coffin due to one of our favorite topics ever, Madison, and that is executions.
Oh, brother, let's hear it.
Well, it's going to be a little different. We've covered, mostly you, Madison, a lot of different areas of execution, from medieval methods, the life of an executioner, and I've dabbled myself on the topic with an episode about death row. But this week, we're hitting an entirely new angle because we're going to be talking about the incredible life of an execution witness.
Whoa, what is that?
Well, let me tell you. I was just going through a bunch of articles this week that I've had saved, and there was this one article talking about a guy named Michael Grachik. It led me down this rabbit hole, learning all about his incredible life and the valuable insight that he provided throughout the years in his career as a reporter.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
So I watched interviews, I read articles both by and about this Michael guy's career. Some of them call him Mike. So maybe we'll call him Mike. I feel like that's more...
Mikey.
Mikey. And honestly, the list is not only expansive, but very impressive. He is most well known for his lengthy career working for AP, which is the Associated Press, which runs fucking everywhere. I feel like most articles you see are like, doesn't matter who's distributing it, it's through the AP. And he's covered everything from natural disasters to sports throughout his career, but he's really well known for his coverage of executions, which, although he retired back in 2018, he still covers to this day as a freelancer with the Associated Press. So he's still covering them to this day. But that's kind of his claim to fame. Originally, he's from Detroit, Michigan, and he graduated from college there. And afterwards, he got this opportunity to go out to Houston with the Associated Press in the early 80s. And that placement led him to be in Houston covering one of the first executions held in Texas since the death penalty had been reinstated back in 1976. Because I guess for a brief while it was taken off, but then they brought it back.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. The first execution after that point was in 1982, and that was a man named Charlie Brooks, who was executed for the kidnapping and murder of a Fort Worth auto mechanic, and I guess he was executed there. And he was the first one that had been executed since that halt, but that's not the one that Mike covered. So Charlie Brooks was executed in 1982, and then in 1983 Mike, his wife Mary, and their two children, that's when they moved to Houston. And if I'm correct, which I think I am based on what I've seen, he was assigned to do coverage of the prison system as a whole in Houston, which is how he ended up at the second execution. And then it just kind of became his thing, and in total he has witnessed over 400 executions since the beginning of his career, which was what really blew my mind. I mean, if you envision this, like, what other job are you seeing fatalities of that number? Like, actually witnessing someone die? Like, hospital worker, sure. But like, other than that, like, it's so wild to me, especially because you're seeing somebody, I mean, capital punishment is technically like murder, right? Like, you're executing someone. It's just kind of wild to me to think about.
Absolutely, especially in like the journalistic sense too, or like entertainment. You know what I mean? Like, it's
I mean, because like I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, well, obviously, like anybody that's in any sort of funerary work, it deals with death a lot, but that's after it's already happened. Usually. But I was trying to think, I'm like, there's not a whole lot of careers where you would witness 400 executions throughout the duration of it.
Yeah, crazy.
A little bit more about Michael from an article on the Associated Press. It said, quote, "Over time, he built a routine. He learned what to watch and listen for, how to spot if something was wrong. In most cases," he said, "observing an execution is essentially watching someone go to sleep and they don't wake up." Which I thought was another kind of interesting way to think about it, or at least how I feel like you would have to something you would have to tell yourself to be able to reckon with the fact that you're watching somebody die.
Yeah, but also depending on what those people did, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And we'll hear about some of them. That article from the Associated Press went on to say, quote, "In a 2013 piece to mark Texas's 500th execution since resuming capital punishment, Grachik recounted how one inmate called his name and said hello when he walked into the chamber."
Ooh, that would be hard, making it personal.
Yeah. Another inmate strapped to the gurney spit out a handcuff key.
Whoa.
And a third, for his last words, sang the Christmas carol Silent Night. Christmas for me has never been the same, Gratzik wrote.
Fuck.
That
Damn.
gives me chills.
I love the little magician.
I know. He said, if I'm my next trick. Hundreds of media outlets counted on Gratzik to cover each execution without an agenda. A lot of people do a lot of hard things in journalism, but what he's done, the commitment he's made to see these stories through is amazing, said Debbie Hyatt, editor of the Austin American-Statesman. And they also talked about his integrity in the article, which I thought was really cool to see. They said, you never really saw a slant one way or the other, said Jason Clark, chief of staff for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. People picked up on that. And they also mentioned that he's been asked throughout his career whether he believes the death penalty should be legal. And he said he's a practicing Catholic and respects the church's teaching against capital punishment, but that he has not made up his own mind. I'm not dodging the question, he said. I don't know. And I thought that was really interesting because you would think that somebody who has witnessed over 400 executions would probably have this very firm stance one way or the other. Because I grapple with it all the time where I'm like, there are certainly times where I'm like so pro capital punishment. I'm like, good. Yeah, absolutely. That person deserves it.
Totally.
Get them off this earth. But I think it's something that when you really break it down, it's like, should we be playing God? You know, you think of all the different corners, all the different aspects of it.
And how many people are wrongfully convicted, which is also scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm the same as you in the I don't have a strong stance on it either way. I think it's case by case, you know?
Yeah, it's
I don't know if
nuanced.
that sounds barbaric, but if you do something fucking gnarly, fuck you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. People do horrifying things. And I think there's plenty of situations where I'm like, okay.
I'll do it.
I'll execute you myself.
Fuck being a witness, honey.
Let me up there. But it's crazy. I mean, he came in kind of at I don't want to say the right time, but they had stopped using the electric chair just not that long prior, probably a decade prior there at least. And so I was thinking about that and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting because watching somebody die from lethal injection would be a lot different of an experience than seeing someone be electrocuted.
Honey, they are not just looking like they're going to sleep. I'll tell you
they're
that.
Whoa! Anytime
smoke, everything. Yeah.
Anytime I think of the electric chair, though, it makes me think of Crybaby and his parents. And then he has the tattoo, and he's like, my parents were electrocuted. Hot. Johnny Depp in that movie.
Yeah. Have you seen him as the Scrooge?
No.
He looks like Danny DeVito Penguin.
No.
Scary.
Oh my God. In one of the interviews that I watched with him, he brought up another really interesting point, which I hadn't thought about. He said that executions here are very different than in other countries. And he said the first one, for instance, that I went to, and I'm not saying this verbatim, but he was like, there was 2 or 3 dozen television crews there. But now that they're more common, media interest has waned. And he said that capital punishment resonates with people more overseas. So there's some interest here, but because it's more of a routine thing here, which he was also
wild.
I'm not saying death. He's like, I shouldn't say the death penalty is routine, but it's more commonplace here. It happens more here. So I think we're more used to it and they don't get a ton of coverage like they used to. And then I loved this. They said that upon retirement, he might write a book of fiction inspired by some of the characters he's met, which I would love to read. He said, quote, I just found the whole idea of covering these things to lend itself to really good stories, compelling stories, he said. He's someone that if I could interview someone like him, I would love to, because I feel like he's probably got just a very fascinating outlook on, in particular, the world of executions.
Right.
Now, going back, when I was reading about the first executions to happen in Texas after capital punishment had been reinstated, I was on the government's website and they had some fun facts about execution listed on there. And I thought it was interesting. It said, the state of Texas has executed brothers on 6 different occasions. Frank and Lorenzo Noel were electrocuted on July 3rd of 1925. S.A. and Forrest Robbins electrocuted April 6, 1926. Oscar and Mac Brown, electrocuted July 1st, 1936. Roscoe and Henderson Brown, electrocuted May 6, 1938. Curtis and Danny Harris, both by lethal injection. That was about a month apart. And then Jesse and Jose Gutierrez, both by lethal injection as well, about a month apart. Or no,
What?
that was 5 years apart.
Got it. Why does that feel a little bit more like the way we'll die together? Imagine us in the electric chairs.
Oh my God.
Next to each other.
I'm not going by lethal injection. If I'm getting executed, it's firing squad or electric chair.
Yeah.
If we could hold hands in an electric chair,
we'd become one big monster and break out of this the jail. Yeah.
Dude.
It'd be bad.
Yeah. They also said one of the most notorious inmates to be executed was Raymond Hamilton, a member of the Bonnie and Clyde gang. He was sentenced by Walker County and executed on May 10th of 1935 for murder. He and another man had escaped from death row only to be captured and returned to death row. The state of Texas executed the last inmate, Joseph Johnson, by electrocution on July 30th of 1964. And then, as I mentioned, they moved on to lethal injection.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wanted to talk about some of the many executions that he was a witness to, because I thought it'd be interesting to just hear about some of the cases. One of them was for James David Autry, who was executed in 1984. He was found guilty of murdering a convenience store clerk during a robbery where he shot the unarmed clerk multiple times, stole money from the register. It was historically notable because Texas actually temporarily halted his execution mid-process when the Supreme Court issued a last-minute stay, only to carry it out later after the stay was lifted.
That feels like such a mind fuck. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Well, I always think of that one guy who was like, remember it didn't work the first time?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you did it.
Right. Totally. Double jeopardy or whatever.
Uh-huh. And then there was Rosendo Rodriguez III, who was executed in 2018, and he was known as the suitcase killer. He had murdered a 29-year-old named Summer Baldwin in 2005, and her body was found stuffed in a suitcase in a wooded area. He later confessed and was executed. And then also in 2018 was William Earl Rayford, who was convicted of murdering a Houston woman during a robbery in the late 90s. Evidence showed he fatally stabbed the victim in her home, and he had a history of violent offenses and maintained responsibility for the crime up to his execution. And then the last one that I want to share is John David Battaglia, who was executed in 2018. He had murdered his two young daughters during a court-approved visitation back in 2001 and shot them in his apartment, and then proceeded to call 911 to report the killings. And it was basically an act of revenge against his ex-wife. And I thought I would read the article that Mike Grachik wrote about it, so we could have a sample of his work.
Yes.
This is from HoustonPublicMedia.org. It says, quote, Dallas man set to die for killing daughters 9 and 6. Creep. Mm-hmm. Quote, as her mother listened on the telephone, 9-year-old Faith Battaglia pleaded with her father. No, Daddy, please don't do it, the child begged. Mary Jane Pearl yelled into the phone for Faith and her 6-year-old sister Liberty to run. And then Pearl heard gunshots. On Thursday, her ex-husband, John David Battaglia, is set for execution for the May 2001 slayings of their daughters. Merry Christmas, Battaglia told Pearl from his Dallas apartment, the words of the holiday greeting derisively divided by an obscenity. She heard more gunshots and then called 911. Faith was shot 3 times, Liberty 5. Hours later, Battaglia was at a nearby tattoo shop getting 2 large red roses inked on his left arm to commemorate his daughters. It took 4 officers to subdue and arrest him as he walked outside. A fully loaded revolver was found in his truck, and more than a dozen firearms were recovered from his apartment. Battaglia's attorneys asked a federal appeals court and the U.S. Supreme Court to block his lethal injection, the second in the nation this week and third this year, all in Texas. and review his case, arguing he is mentally incompetent for execution. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, the state's highest criminal court, misapplied the Supreme Court's guidance when it ruled Battaglia as competent for the death penalty, lawyers argued. The Supreme Court has ruled prisoners can be executed if they're aware the death penalty is to be carried out and have a rational understanding of why they're facing that punishment. Attorneys for the 62-year-old contend he doesn't have that understanding. Prosecutors said the high court hasn't defined rational understanding, so the Texas courts did an exhaustive analysis of cases to ensure proper legal standards were followed. A state judge and the state appeals of court found Battaglia was competent, not mentally ill, and was faking mental illness to try to avoid execution. He was described as highly intelligent.
Yeah, if he has the wits to say to his ex-wife, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And then go and get 2 memorial tattoos, I'm sure.
Freak.
That's what they were. That's where it's like, yeah, how do you say, no, I'm not for the death penalty? I'm like, yeah.
He's a psychopath. At the end of the article, he wrote, Battaglia told the Dallas Morning News in 2014 his daughters were his best little friends, that he had photos of them displayed in his prison cell. I don't feel like I killed them, he said. I'm a little in the blank about what happened. Bitch, bye.
Bye, girl.
He's no longer with us.
Was he executed?
Yeah, he was executed.
Yeah.
Sure was.
Wow. Yeah.
Tell you what, if my husband killed our children like that, I'd say, you do it or I will.
Yeah. Either you do it as humanely as possible or I'm skinning him alive.
Yeah, I'm taking a cheese grater.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That's really, really interesting. I never thought about, I know people would witness executions, but to kind of have that title as an executioner witness, it's pretty crazy.
Interesting.
You guys can do anything that you want to do in this life.
Literally, the bounds are limitless.
There's a job for everything.
There really is, and I love it.
I love it too. Look at us, 2 fools.
Maybe that's our next move. Execution witnesses.
Why not?
Or we'll be the girls with the selling cigarettes like at a baseball game.
Remember we talked about that at Supercross? I was like, that would be fun.
Yes. Would love it.
I'd be like, hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
Come and get your hot dogs, fellas.
Come and get them. Ooh.
Ooh.
All right. Well, we're going
it.
to take one more quick break. And when we come back, Madison's going to tell us what had her spinning in her coffin this week.
All righty.
We'll be right back. And we're back. Madison, what had you spinning in your coffin this week?
Okay, girlies. So we got a DM a few weeks ago.
And that's district manager. And she's going to be overseeing all of Obituary.
All of Obituary. Okay, you guys.
And this is her. Ma'am?
Chuny. Hi, Chuny girl. Hi. Little girl. Look at her little belly. Okay.
Tell us.
So we received a DM that said that we have to talk about the Cheeseman Park in Denver, Colorado. Now, I responded to that DM pretty quickly because it made me so excited because, Spencer, I don't know if you remember this, but when we did a show in Denver, one of our friends who we were with, their friend drove us back to our hotel. And we passed this big, beautiful park. And I remember her telling us, have you guys heard about this park? You guys absolutely should do an episode on it. And I remember vividly sitting in her back seat on our notes app, putting in Cheeseman Park. And it's been in my notes forever. So I took that DM as a sign.
Where were we? Denver.
In Denver, yes.
I have no recollection of this
I know.
whatsoever.
Well, I'm going to fill you in on everything.
Okay.
So you'll know. But we technically
we went.
We went to it.
Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah. We drove
forget.
by it. We drove by it. It was dark. But yeah, so technically we've been there. But I knew that it was something worthy of obituary and that it was very obituary-esque, but I just didn't really know. I just thought maybe, oh, it's haunted or whatever. But no, we're going to fucking get into it. And it is. It's perfect for obituary. Okay. So today, Cheeseman Park is gorgeous. It's green. It's peaceful. People are there picnicking or doing yoga or running or taking engagement photos. Like, it's a big, beautiful park. And it is actually one of the most beloved parks in Denver. I guess, like, everybody loves it. However, girlies, what if I told you that there are thousands of bodies buried there?
At this park?
At this park. Because if you didn't already guess it by that, Cheeseman Park did not start out as a park. It started out as a cemetery.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and there are fucking wild stories. I'm so excited to tell you guys. So, as with many stories here on the show, we need to rewind back to the 1800s, of course. Denver in the 1800s was a baby. It was founded technically on November 22nd, 1858. So it's fairly new.
A bouncing baby girl.
A bouncing baby girl. And people started settling in that area because of the prospect of gold. I guess there was a ton of gold there.
Okay.
So with an influx of more people, this is how humans work, we die. So there were a lot more deaths, obviously, in that area. A place to bury those people was very important. So that same year that Denver was technically founded, which was 1858, the land that is now Cheeseman Park was established as Mount Prospect Cemetery.
Huh.
It later became known as Denver City Cemetery. So this was the city cemetery. And we're talking like everybody was buried there. It didn't matter, you know, your wealth, your social status, whether you were a pioneer or, you know, like it did not matter. Everybody was buried in this cemetery.
The place to be.
It was the place to be. But one very important detail is that that land was sold to the city with the condition that it remain a cemetery in perpetuity. And in perpetuity means forever.
Thank you. Lawyer Madison, everyone.
Yes. But this is where it gets kind of messy. So the land that is the cemetery, I guess, was just kind of like a hillside. It was not very beautiful. It was just kind of blah. However, the neighborhood around it really expanded and exploded. Like, the city of Denver was basically like, girl, we don't love having our cemetery right in the middle of town. It was like town square,
Okay,
you know, and
yeah.
your cemetery, which I would love.
Personally prefer.
Yes, but they didn't want that. So city officials were like, okay, we got to do something. We got to make this go away. Basically, we got to make the cemetery go away.
The government's favorite thing to do. Cover it up.
It was the city, but the U.S. Congress who donated the land or like let them purchase the land was like, no, this was in perpetuity. It's forever. So they went, the city of Denver goes to the Congress, and I guess there was, you know, a bunch of back and forth, but ultimately in 1890, Congress does approve the request to officially close the cemetery and turn it into a park.
Huh.
So time's up for all the dead people. They got to go. They're getting kicked out.
Get out of here.
Once the cemetery is officially sold off and you know, set to become a park, the city tells the families, and they're basically like, okay, guys, you have to come get your loved ones and move them somewhere else.
That's crazy.
Bring out your dead! Bring out your dead!
Crazy. So some families that had the means to do so did so, which, pause, I do feel like that would feel like a very traumatic experience, you know, like, okay, We got to find a new place for Papa.
No way in hell would I'd be protesting.
I know, but you know what? Maybe they're like, yeah, it's this, or we have this ugly cemetery in the middle of town. We want a park. So I don't know. But many families did not have the means to move their loved ones and couldn't, even if they wanted to, which I'll get to a little bit later. But many people had already moved away, couldn't afford it, and a lot of the graves were too left unmarked, so it was hard to even find where they were. So the city was left with thousands of bodies still underground. And if that wasn't messy enough, in 1893, they hire an undertaker to dig up the remaining bodies. This undertaker is named E.P. McGovern, and his job was literally to dig up the bodies, place them into new coffins if needed, and then move them to a cemetery named Riverside Cemetery. And Riverside Cemetery was established in 1876, and it was intentionally created, I guess, to be the new city cemetery. So it wasn't like a beautiful cemetery either, but it was further from the city center and less desirable land. I think it was pretty flat, but they needed a place to send these bodies to, and that cemetery had room. I guess not up until then, other people were buried there, but I guess a lot of unclaimed bodies went there as well. Okay, so E.P. McGovern, his pay from the city is $1.90 per body that he digs up and moves.
Okay.
I looked it up, and that's $70 in today's money.
Per body?
So, per body.
I'm going to need more than that.
I'm going to need more than that too. And he has 5,000 something bodies to exhume and move. So yeah, shockingly, if you're paying somebody like that per body, they may rush or they may cut corners.
But this was $1 per body he was paid?
$1.90.
I think that'd be more. No?
It's $75 to $80.
In when?
1890.
I thought it would be a couple $100 at least.
I know. But when you do the math, if you're doing five,
okay, let's see.
Almost 10 grand.
Yeah.
Not
enough for me to move 5,000 bodies.
Not enough for me either. But he wasn't alone. He did have a small team of people helping him do the exhumation.
Well, so then he's having to share the profit anyway.
That's very true.
This is getting worse and worse. Someone called a labor union.
Well, just wait, because not long after he starts there, rumors start spreading. I read in the beginning, he was doing what he was supposed to do. He and his workers were exhuming bodies, transferring them to Riverside Cemetery. Okay, perfect. But witnesses start to claim that E.P. McGovern was doing horrifying things. He allegedly thought that it would be smart to get a bunch of child-sized coffins, dig up a few bodies, dismember them, and then shove those remains into those little coffins.
Okay, so working smarter, not harder.
Right. So one body actually becomes 3 or 4 bodies.
So that he could charge. Okay, because I was wondering if he was just making it easier to move things around in the smaller coffins. But no, it's because he wanted more bodies so that he could charge per.
Yes.
Brilliant.
So one body is $2 basically. No, he's getting
$8 out of them.
$8 out of them.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Genius, smart. Yeah, wild. Okay, but I really hate to quote Wikipedia on here.
Quote her. We love her, Miss Wikipedia.
But sometimes she does come in clutch, okay?
She does.
She has a snippet from a newspaper that I want to read to you. It says, quote, "The Denver Republican newspaper ran a story breaking the news. Its March 19th, 1893 headline read, "The Work of Ghouls." The article described in detail McGovern's practice of hacking up what were sometimes intact remains of the dead and stuffing them into children-sized coffins. The article partly described the scene. The line of desecrated graves at the southern boundary of the cemetery sickened and horrified everybody by the appearance they presented. Around their edges were piled broken coffins, rent and tattered shrouds, and fragments of clothing that had been torn from the dead bodies. All were trampled into the ground by the footsteps of the gravediggers like rejected junk. So imagine your neighborhood is surrounding this cemetery, and you think the city's going to exhume them, which is already probably a crazy thing to witness. But no, instead you're seeing bodies being hacked up, shoved into little baby coffins, and then everything else just discarded, and everybody can see it.
Maybe I've just been exposed to so many horrible things happening in cemeteries that I'm like, could be worse. At least it's not. I don't know. I'd be pissed if it was my loved one. That's a scandal.
That is an absolute scandal. Eventually, the city fires him. They find out and they confirm this is what he's doing. They fire him. But what's interesting and disturbing is I think they did try to launch a formal investigation, but nothing really ever came of it. He was never prosecuted, no trial, no punishment, and he kind of disappeared from any historical records. But I did find on genealogy.com that he was born in 1851 in New York. He died in Denver in 1925, and he was originally a carpenter, which makes me think, did he make those little baby coffins?
Saving a buck anywhere he can.
Anywhere he can.
Well, also very traditional back in that time for carpenters and cabinetry people to also make caskets. So absolutely.
Absolutely. But then he got into undertaking and had the E.P. McGovern Mortuary Association. But what I found most interesting in that article, it says that, quote, he was involved in skullduggery in the transfer of bodies from the old Mount Prospect Cemetery to the new Riverside Cemetery. And I was like, skullduggery? Is that an old term for exhuming bodies? And so I looked it up, and no. Oxford Dictionary says that it's underhanded or unscrupulous behavior, trickery. So if someone's being a fraud or trickster, they're skullduggery.
Girl,
They're
bring it back.
skulldugging.
We need to bring that back.
Isn't that cool?
Skullduggery. Listen, I don't care what anybody says. She's a skulldugger. Okay.
She's a skulldugger.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh my God.
Love it.
Oh, her skulldugger.
Skulldugger.
Damn.
God. Anyway, the cemetery was left in disarray. There were fully open graves, half exhumed coffins, scattered remains. And so what the city did was they just put up temporary fencing around the cemetery so nobody could see in or see that it was left like this.
Uh-huh.
But they never hired anybody else to continue exhuming the bodies. They sort of just left it as is for years.
Wow, weird.
And for a while I was researching this, I was like, oh, this place was not a cemetery or a park. It was a crime scene for a few years.
Huh.
But eventually, they started not moving the bodies. The city just started filling in all the open graves, and they literally just started making it a park, even though thousands of bodies were left behind. Landscaping began directly over former graves, trees and grass were planted, and yeah, all the bodies were just there. Eventually, they add a big, beautiful pavilion. And this is where they get the name Cheeseman, because it was named after a man named Walter Scott Cheeseman. And he was a rich businessman from Denver.
He's a
and
big
he died.
seller of cheese, right? Number one.
Yes, absolutely. He died in 1907, and his widow donated $100,000 to build this beautiful pavilion. We'll put a picture up. So a rich widow got a monument
Uh-huh.
in her husband's honor, kind of I don't know, a cemetery.
Love.
And thousands of other people just were bulldozed over, basically. Gazette.com did an incredible article on the Cheeseman Park. I have to bring this up. This says, quote, one investigation by CNN revealed that as many as 2,000 bodies might still remain buried beneath the park.
Whoa.
It's a lot. And sadly, these bodies don't always stay buried. It's not uncommon for workers in the park to uncover bones and sometimes full skeletal remains, and there are pictures. For instance, Denver Post reports that 4 preserved skeletons were uncovered by people doing irrigation work in the park in 2010. In another 2008 incident, 2 rows of coffins were uncovered by crews working near the adjacent Denver Botanic Gardens. It says heavy rain is also capable of bringing remains to the surface due to the density of the bones, according to a local tour guide with Denver Walking Tours. It's also important to mention that Denver may have had a couple very real reasons for not digging up the bodies, especially through the early 1900s. And they go into how, like, the mapping of the cemetery, it was hard to find the bodies, but then they also talk about how some of the bodies were buried. They were smallpox victims. And so, which was highly contagious. So they were worried about spreading that. So that does make sense. But I'm sure there were many that were buried that are still there that were not smallpox victims. Because there's, I'm sure there were cemetery records. But I wanted to hear some stories from real people who have been there and have walked it and just like what they had to say. So I went over to the Denver thread on Reddit, and one user wrote, it's considered one of the most haunted places in town. There are so many spooky incidents in the Botanic Gardens where a number of left behind remains have been found during garden renovations, that they keep a logbook for anyone who has a paranormal experience while strolling the grounds. In October, the Botanic Gardens hosts a Ghosts in the Gardens tour that is one of the most fabulously creepy, wonderful things I've ever paid good money for. They don't advertise it, and it still sells out every year. Someone else wrote, it was also loosely the basis for the film Poltergeist, where the developer moved the headstones but left the bodies.
I could see that.
I could see that too. And then somebody else wrote, you can see the remaining graves in the spring when the grass starts to turn green. I can't remember if they turn green first or turn green last, but either way, you can see the outlines.
Oh.
And that was a lot of people, like a lot of people were talking about how you can see the outlines. And somebody wrote, look near bushes. A lot of them were planted to cover up the mess, which we talked about earlier. Like they just went in and started landscaping over these graves to try to hide any issue. There's also a couple other paranormal experiences that people report, like really hot areas, really cold areas. They see orbs. There's like local legends too about a widow. Like it just goes on and on and on. But very, very interesting, very cool, very sad for the people that are buried there. But also, I don't know, maybe because it is such a beautiful place now and probably gets a lot of love. Like, it just sucks when like a headstone or any, we don't know who's underneath our feet. That makes me sad.
So interesting.
I know.
Fascinating. And as you're telling me about it, I'm like, oh, duh. It was Kiwi.
Yes.
Okay, you guys, I think we should do something funny. It's Your Gal Kiwi. YOURGALKIWI.
Does she still sell her products? Because they're so cute. I've used some of her cards.
Yeah, no, she makes cutest cards, which I've gifted to people. She makes like Hallmark movie bingo and stuff. It's so super fun. Go like comment on her Instagram.
Came from Obituary.
Yeah, say like came here from Obituary. Go comment on her post and show her some love because we love supporting our artists. And she's also someone that she's fucking funny. Her and her husband
fucking
are funny.
I know.
Hilarious. Yes, she took us around after the show. So please go show her some love. Okay, I came up with an idea while you were doing this.
Yeah, I wasn't listening. I was brainstorming.
No, I thought this would be kind of fun because there's so many cemeteries and places around us. Mm-hmm. I have a challenge for us that I need to know if you're down for.
Hold on, let me adjust my posture. Okay.
For next week's episode,
Okay.
I want to challenge each of us to find a cool cemetery near us.
Okay.
And investigate it, find interesting tombstones, learn the history of it, and do that as our coffin spinner next week.
Okay, I love that. Are we going to visit it?
Yeah, going to visit it, learn the history of it.
You know what? I really fucking love that. And I think that we need to do more investigative boots on the ground.
Yeah, let's get our boots on the ground. Oh, you're down. Okay, so next week we'll each come to the table having been to a cemetery and learned the ins and outs of it.
I'm so excited.
Okay, this is going to be fun. This is like a field trip. I am going to also encourage you to take pictures while you're there.
Okay.
So we have pictures for the episode.
Absolutely. You got it.
That's fun, right?
That is fun. I love that.
I'm excited to see what cemetery we each come back with.
I know. And just the info.
And I'm excited to see like how we each write and do our coffin spinners.
Like how we interpret it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Excited. That's the only rule is that you have to go to a cemetery this week.
We need pictures for proof.
And you have to learn about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God,
all right.
Fun.
Love it. So fun.
Okay, well, moving on, we got to move into some obituaries. And I sadly have the obituary for one of the most iconic actresses of our generation. I think a brilliant comedian, brilliant actress. Nobody did it like her. Catherine O'Hara.
Oh, what a sad loss.
What a loss. She was the first person that I feel like in so long that she passed away. And the first thing that came to my head is there's never going to be somebody who could play the type of person that she plays. Nobody is her. She was such a unique persona and personality and character. And
totally
a devastating loss.
I agree.
This is from legacy.com and this is quote, Catherine O'Hara, the SCTV comedian and actress who went on to star in Home Alone, Best in Show, Schitt's Creek, and many other movies and TV shows, died January 30th, 2026 at her home in Los Angeles. She died after a brief illness at the age of 71. Michael McKean, her co-star in Best in Show and other films, called the loss heartbreaking, noting only one Catherine O'Hara and now none. Pedro Pascal, with whom she had recently worked with in The Last of Us, wrote, oh, I forgot she was in The Last of Us. I remember when she came out, I was like, Moira, what are you doing here? Wrote, oh, genius to be near you, eternally grateful. There is less light in my world. This lucky world that had you will keep you always. Born March 4th, 1954, O'Hara grew up in Toronto, later noting in a 2019 interview with The New Yorker that her sense of humor was a natural fit in her family. Everybody in my family is funny. Being funny was highly encouraged in our family, I think. She got her start in comedy shortly after graduating from Burnham Thorpe Collegiate Institute, joining the cast of the Second City Improv Troupe in 1974. O'Hara honed her comedic chops with a legendary group, making audiences laugh alongside fellow comedians like Eugene Levy, who became a close friend and frequent co-star. In her interview with The New Yorker, she explained her approach to improv. When in doubt, play insane, because you don't have to excuse anything that came out of your mouth. It doesn't have to make sense. Love that philosophy for life, not even just improv.
I know.
She brought the silliness to television when Second City Television, SCTV, debuted in 1976, remaining with the show for its entire 6-season run, but she almost left to pursue sketch comedy fame elsewhere. She signed on with Saturday Night Live in 1981 while SCTV was negotiating a new network deal, but she left without ever appearing on an episode of SNL and returned to SCTV. She did find her way back to 3 episodes of SNL as host in 1988, 1991, and 1992, which I would love to go back and watch. I don't think I've seen those ones.
I know, me too.
By the time the SCTV cast took their final bows in 1984, O'Hara was ready for something different, and within a few years, she was hitting new heights of fame in movies. A breakthrough role came with Tim Burton's 1988 comedy Beetlejuice, in which she played the eccentric goth artist Delia Dietz. 36 years later, she bookended her career with a role in the long-awaited sequel, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. It was her final on-screen movie performance. Many other memorable roles came in the years between the two Beetlejuice installments. Among her best-loved movies was 1990's Home Alone, the holiday hit in which she played Kate McAllister, mother to Macaulay Culkin's Kevin. She reprised her role in the 1992 sequel, and the following year she worked with Burton again as the voice of the ragdoll Sally in The Nightmare Before Christmas. In 1996, O'Hara began a long and fruitful association with director Christopher Guest, appearing in his mockumentary Waiting for Guffman. By her side was her old friend Levy, who co-wrote the film with Guest. Their SCTV experience was key to the movie's largely improv vibe, and they returned to improv their way through Best in Show.
Oh, love.
Such a classic.
So good.
In which they played the Norwich Terrier-loving Jerry and Cookie Fleck, as well as A Mighty Wind and For Your Consideration. In A Mighty Wind, O'Hara and Levy sang as a folk music duo, and O'Hara co-wrote their song One More Time. Haven't seen that either. I'd love to.
Yeah.
Had O'Hara retired after 2006's For Your Consideration, she would have certainly been remembered primarily as a movie actress, despite her start on SCTV. However, a late career gem was waiting for her, ensuring that TV would also anchor her legacy. In 2015, she took on the role of former soap opera actress Moira Rose in the CBC Netflix hit sitcom Schitt's Creek, starring again opposite Levy.
She was the star.
The star of the show. Moira Rose's daffy grandeur was one of the keys to the wild success of Schitt's Creek, and O'Hara herself deeply influenced the character, from her unplaceable accent and odd enunciation to her designer wardrobe and rotating selection of wigs. It was O'Hara's idea for Moira to change her wigs with her moods, and creators, Levy and his son Dan Levy, let her roll with the concept. She also influenced Moira's vocabulary, adding silly and pretentious touches to her lines. O'Hara was widely praised for her work on Schitt's Creek, and awards followed. In 2019, she was nominated for an Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series, and in 2020, she won that same award. It stood alongside many others, including 6 Canadian Screen Awards for Best Actress in a Comedy Series, one for each season it ran, as well as a Critics' Choice Award, a Canadian Comedy Award, a Golden Globe, and a SAG Award. O'Hara's last 2 television credits were also memorable ones. In 2025, she starred alongside Seth Rogen in The Studio, picking up additional nominations for Emmy and Golden Globe Awards, as well as winning an Astro TV Award. The same year, she had a 3-episode arc on The Last of Us, playing the cynical therapist to Pascal's character. Critics praised her rare dramatic turn in The Last of Us. Her many other TV appearances included 6 Feet Under, Curb Your Enthusiasm, 30 Rock, Modern Family, A Series of Unfortunate Events. She had voice roles on such animated shows as The Completely Mental Misadventures of Ed Grimley, Skylanders Academy, and The Last Kids on Earth, and also contributed voices to movies including Over the Hedge, Where the Wild Things Are, The Addams Family, and The Wild Robot. O'Hara married production designer Bo Welch, whom she met on the set of Beetlejuice in 1992. He survives her, as do their 2 sons, Matthew and Luke, and her siblings, Michael O'Hara, Mary Margaret O'Hara, Maureen Jolly, Marcus O'Hara, Tom O'Hara, and Patricia Wallace. In a 2024 interview for Elle Canada, O'Hara commented on the oversized presence of humor in her life. "My husband and I laugh about everything all day long. My parents were blessed. They laughed until the end. That's the best way to live, because there's so much sadness. You're really lucky if your sense of humor is encouraged, because I think we're all born with it. And if it's encouraged in your life, that's a gift."
Oh, I love that last quote.
Beautiful. Just what an icon.
What an icon. What a beautiful life and career.
Oh, God, I love her.
Oh, rest
Love
in
her.
peace.
Rest in
I
peace.
know.
For real, yeah.
Sad that, it's like, wow, she really was a true artist, because we're sad that we won't see her again in anything.
I know.
Everything
Luckily,
she does is good.
But if it wasn't for her obituary, I wouldn't know about all these other incredible things that she did. So now I'm excited to go back and watch some of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. We love her. Well, I have an obituary for another cool woman, Bonnie. Bonnie passed away peacefully on April 3rd, 2025. Her age, while easily deduced from the foregoing, will not be stated specifically in print lest she rise up and slap some faces.
Oh.
Bonnie was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, to Gloria, absolute stunner and kindest woman that ever lived, at a time when her father, Otis, was far, far away defending his country and the world, thank you, and thus did not meet Bonnie until she was a year old. She apparently held a slight grudge about this and kind of gave him a hard time about everything for the rest of his life. Those who truly knew this fiery, rebellious, hilarious, stubborn, and feisty redhead knew these things about her. Number 1, she could make a 4-letter word into 9 syllables. 2, she loved Tom Jones, in her opinion, the sexiest man alive. Number 3, she really, and I mean really, did not like to be told what to do. 4, she had a bit of a temper. 5, she was not particularly neat, i.e. a total slob. 6, she rescued dogs before rescuing dogs was a thing. 7, she loved beach music and shagging. Number 8, she was a loyal and steadfast friend. Number 9, she was tough as an old barn nail. 10, she was an avid reader, just ask Barnes & Nobles, and crossworder. 11, she made a mean zootoni, never would give David that recipe. And 12, she loved heels, also a 9-syllable word.
Ooh.
And 13, she had a heart of pure solid gold. And then it goes into her preceded by and survived by.
Love her, a little diva.
Love a little Bonnie diva.
Love a little Bonnie diva moment.
Love it.
Love her, and I love our next segment of the evening. We have
darling.
Spun in our coffins.
We have bitched our obituaries.
That means it's time for some dumb
ass criminals.
Okay, I'm so excited because I've got 1 degree of separation from this criminal.
What? Okay.
This is from the New York Post. Accused dine and dash diva Pei Chung again refuses to leave Rikers Island for court hearing on psych exam. So I'm going to talk about the Dine and Dash diva, who happens to be the next door neighbor of one of my very, very good friends.
What? Who?
Yes. In New York. She's her neighbor.
Of course.
Yeah.
She always gets the tea.
I know. Accused serial dine and dash diva, which I just love the name.
Love.
Pei Chung on Wednesday refused to leave her jail cell in Rikers Island for a Brooklyn court date. The second time she's tried to take herself off the legal menu. But unlike last time, Chung, 34, attempted to pull no-show shenanigans. Judge Jacob Zelmanovitz opted to let the faux foodie stew in her jail cell instead of hauling her into court. Chung's unhinged last court appearance on December 17th, which unfolded after she was dragged from Rikers, only added to existing questions about her mental health. The wannabe influencer repeatedly interrupted George Orville Reynolds during the hearing, prompting him to snap, "When I speak, you don't speak, understand?" Undeterred, Chung inexplicably replied, "That is not correct."
Wait, I think I've seen this woman on TikTok. Like, people film her at restaurants.
Yes. Yep.
And she sits there for hours and then leaves.
Yep.
And doesn't pay.
Yes.
I didn't know she was busted.
Well, listen to this. The wackadoo antics aren't new for Chung, who had the cops called on her at least 10 times for rolling into fine dining restaurants in designer duds and then allegedly refusing to pay. She reviewed her purloined meals on a bland blog and a moderately spicy Instagram, which boasted she's 99 pounds, no plastic surgery, along with posts of her in lingerie, Prada, Louis Vuitton, and Hermes. The flea spree ultimately led to Chung being shipped off to Rikers in November on theft charges and a $4,500 bail, an amount the glittery Gorman hasn't yet been able to fork over. And it links to it another article about her where it mentions the Prada-loving cheapskate pulled her latest fraudulent tactic at the trendy Mole Mexican Bar and Grill in Williamsburg around 3 p.m. Friday when she ordered $149 in food and then refused to pay.
Damn.
She's actually facing eviction, I guess, from her apartment as well.
Oh.
Which
neighbor no more.
I'll keep you posted on.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that she was finally caught.
Yeah, the Dine and Dash Diva. There's multiple influencers who live in this building in Brooklyn, and one of them is my friend, but then there's another one I know who posts about her a lot on TikTok.
Oh, shit. Okay. I got to look this up.
I'll keep you posted.
Oh, my God. Well, thank you. Yeah. Give us some up-to-date things. I love that she's just refusing. She's like, no, I'm not going.
I love that she's the Dine and Dash Diva. I'm like, yes,
I kind of like it. I know.
You got a name.
I know. Not for the restaurants, but.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I have a dumbass criminal from Atlanta, and this is from AtlantaNewsFirst.com. And the person you thought was the criminal is not the criminal, and it's actually, I believe, the cops and another person. So let me just read you this.
Okay.
A College Park police officer resigned in August after an Atlanta News First investigation revealed he falsely arrested a wheelchair-bound man for a crime he could not have committed. Now listen to this. Officer Markenly Belote arrested 41-year-old Charles Reed in March, accusing him of assaulting Katherine Jensen and kicking down her front door. Reed has been in a wheelchair for 25 years. College Park Police Chief Connie Rogers and Belote resigned in lieu of termination. The Fulton County District Attorney Office dropped Reed's charges the same day Atlanta News First Investigates published its investigation in April. Body cam footage shows Reed falling to the floor inside the College Park Police Department after his arrest. Records show Belote had previously applied to work with the Atlanta Police Department in 2022, but the city rejected his application for not telling the truth. Atlanta police wrote, Belote was untruthful when listing employment dates, deliberately omitted a termination, and accused a recertification training officer of telling him to list an employer as a termination.
What the fuck?
But he still was hired. And so I guess the girlfriend or the ex-girlfriend of Charles Reed called the police, said, my boyfriend kicked down my door and assaulted me. And he has been in a wheelchair for 25 years, and they fucking arrested him.
That's insane.
Crazy.
Wild.
At least justice was finally served, but how fucking wild.
Bizarre.
People
are crazy. Well, we've got to get our investigator hats on because we've got to start figuring out which cemeteries that we'll be paying a visit to this week.
Yes. Oh my God. I can't wait. I'm excited.
But we'll be back next week for some more coffin spinners.
And obituaries.
And dumb
ass
criminals. And everything else you need to find can be found on obituarypodcast.com.
We're at Obituary Pod on Instagram, Obituary Podcast on TikTok, and obitpod@gmail.com. Send us your stories, you guys.
Yes. Okay. Goodbye.
Okay. Goodbye.